Welcome to TGM Aware, the official podcast of the Gospel Mission in Sioux City, Iowa. Each month, we bring you real stories, honest conversations, and behind-the-scene insights into the work of Rescue Women. From staff and volunteers to community partners and guests, we explore how lives are being transformed through Christ-centered care. Thanks for joining us. Let's dive in. Hey everyone, welcome. I'm Nate Gates, the Associate Executive Director of the Gospel Mission, and over to my left right here is Jennifer Jackson, the Executive Director of Heartland Counseling. Jennifer, welcome to the episode.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think a lot of us are aware of Heartland Counseling, a huge organization here in the South Sioux area, but tell everyone who may not know about Heartland Counseling, what you guys do.
Yeah, so Heartland Counseling is officially a CCBHC, effective January 1st. We're a certified community behavioral health clinic, which that means a one-stop shop. So you can have, a lot of people think, oh, it's just outpatient counseling, but it's way more than that. We do crisis response. We do intensive outpatient for mental health and substance abuse. That's when people come here 10 hours a week for therapy. We do a lot of wraparound services. So community support, recovery support, peer support. What that means is if you think back like 50 years ago, there was several state institutions and that doesn't exist anymore. So what happened was that all happens in the community now. So people have like one-on-one community support workers to help them remain in their own home and live in the community and be successful. So that is really a huge piece of Heartland. We also do school-based therapy. So we are in 10 school districts in Northeast Nebraska, and those therapists are actually full-time in the schools. We do youth peer support and adult peer support. Again, that's a wraparound service. So like today, we are taking kids to the Dakota County Thurston County Fair.
Yeah.
And we did a summer group all summer long with kids, adolescents. We partner with like the First Tee. We partner with the Humane Society, the Community Orchard, things like that. Then we have our day rehab program. So that is for anybody that struggles with mental health or substance abuse issues. They can come Monday through Saturday, 9:30 to 3:30. That is a great program. Eat lunch, do their laundry. And then we have the ACT team, which is assertive community treatment. And that is when we meet with people 7 days a week. You have to have severe and persistent mental illness. And again, at risk of higher level of treatment. And so we want to keep them in their own home and we want to support them as much as we can. So it's a lot.
And a lot of stuff to do.
It is. Oh, med management. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things.
Yeah, a lot of cool, exciting things here. But you also have more things coming as well. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes. Mm-hmm. So we have the new CSU Detox Center that is going to be opening up hopefully officially in March, but that's called Waypoint. Waypoint is a place to pause. And so we just thought that was a great name where people can come here, pause, get the help they need, and then move on to treatment or whatever
the next step is.
Exactly. So, yeah,
a lot of cool, exciting things.
Yes.
And when doing this podcast, one of the things that always gets me the most, and this is just personally too, is just the stories of like the leader, how God's worked in their lives. You have a great story. You don't have to share everything and whatnot, but I mean, the more I learned about you, like just before, I learned she's like a business owner, does all these other things too. But kind of share maybe a little bit about how you got involved with Heartland Counseling. What's that passion, the desire? I mean, what were some things that were just, okay, I'm called to do this?
Yeah. Well, I think, when I was 15, my dad died very suddenly. He had a massive heart attack at work. And my sister and brother, unfortunately, were with him at that time. But that really shaped, I think, my journey and just learning resilience. I got into therapy right away and it's really come full circle. So knowing that I can really empathize and understand what other people are going through, that year was, there was a lot of heartache. My dad died. My grandma died. My aunt died. My friend from high school passed away. Our house got broke into. Just a lot of trauma. And so I think my story, I can relate to a lot of other people. And that's really put me, I feel like, on this journey, in life. And has guided me. And really, it's not about the title. I'm just the director. I really want to hear the stories of people and what is the difference that Heartland is making in our life. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Thank you for sharing. It's so
Yeah.
beautiful to see how that's all
Yeah.
twined into what was supposed to destroy you, and then,
Right.
grows you, and now makes a huge impact.
Yeah.
So you talk about stories. We talk, the guests that come in. Like, you do a lot of things.
Yeah.
But what's like a typical day for the average guest? I know it's not necessarily one size fits all, but what would be a typical day for someone who comes in and utilizes you guys' services?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so if we talk, let's think about somebody who may be struggling with anxiety and depression. So they're going to come in, they're going to um, walk through our doors and see a smiling face at the front desk and check in with our front desk ladies. And they're going to see their therapist. The therapist it's usually around 50 minutes where they do individual therapy. And then, that individual therapist may say, let's look at some other options that we have for you. Would you like to have a one-on-one person to check in with you this week? And it could be that they're not necessarily in crisis, but they're just not feeling like themselves. We have a crisis response team where we can text them, we can even call them and check in with them until their next appointment. Because, that's the thing is therapy is just 1 hour a week, typically.
Yeah.
So if it's somebody who's really struggling, we want to offer them the wraparound services. My kind of tagline is we want to hug them tight. And so we want to be able to offer them the community support services or the crisis response so they don't have to wait until that next week for their therapy appointment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice. One of the things as you're talking, I was listening to you, is you're talking about people, the word success. I mean, that's a huge thing in leadership. Like, what is success? Because if you don't really know what success is, and it's really tough to actually get there and get your team around there, what would you guys describe your team? What would success look like for you guys?
So I think there's probably two things for success. One, success for a client would just be that we get them the relief that they need, right? We get them to the next step and that they can feel good in their life or good within their own self. Success in leadership is that we allow flexibility with our staff. Family always comes first.
Sure.
People feel excited to come to work every day. And, I just did an exit interview this morning with a gal she started out as an intern. We hired her on as our social media person, and she's actually getting ready to go to college. But she said, I always look forward to coming to work. And I think that's success.
Nice. You're not just going in a paycheck. You have a purpose.
Right. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very nice. I mean, again, it's something we battle too at the Gospel Mission as well. What is success?
Right.
For us, Christian organization is, all right, if you accept Jesus, that's success. Oh, okay, we still have life here on earth too,
Right. Yeah.
And thinking about that, because again, you guys have been amazing. Our partners of the month. Kurt, the team does a great job down at the mission. But a lot of people who don't know about, it doesn't necessarily have to be homeless. It can be mental health, homelessness, addictions.
Yeah.
What are some of the misconceptions that you've noticed in your time here with those that you serve and what the rest of the world says?
Yeah. Well, I think sometimes people think it's a moral failure, like something, you chose this, you're doing it wrong.
Sure.
But I think we have to really look at the bigger picture, what has led them to this spot in their life. And really it could be genetics, right? If we're talking about somebody who has bipolar disorder or schizophrenia, this is a genetic issue, right? Even depression, I have depression myself. I know my body doesn't make enough serotonin. I have to take medication for that, and that's okay. And I think that's the message we need to get across to people, is that it's okay. Our bodies sometimes just don't make enough of whatever it is that we need. It's no different than diabetes. Let's think about heart disease, right? So in heart disease, if you don't take care of your heart and you continue to have problems, it's just going to get worse and worse, right?
Yeah.
It's the same with mental health. if you don't take care of the mental illness, it's just going to get worse and worse.
Yeah.
And so that's where we need to step in and assist. And it doesn't have to be medication, but
Sure.
let's give them the supports they need. It could be the wraparound services. It can be going to the life center every day,
Yeah.
right? It's not, medication isn't always the answer when it comes to anxiety and depression, but it can sure help, and it can
Right.
sure get you over that step. And you could always wean yourself off of that medication for anxiety and depression. Now, when we're talking about other things like schizophrenia, I mean, that's something, let's get in, let's tackle it. And they probably will be on medication for the rest of their life. But I think a lot of people think like they're to blame. I mean, that person, it's their issue, it's their problem. And
Sure.
it's really,
A lot of judging. Yeah.
A lot of judging.
A lot of judging.
Exactly.
I mean, I know I've experienced that in the Christian world too. Everyone knows John 3:16, but what about John 3:17? You're not to, condemn and stuff like that. But
Right.
I like how it's just not just a Band-Aid fix, right? Like
Right.
really kind of get in and go deep, because it's easy to say, okay, well, you're struggling with this, right? Your scores here on this assessment says this, just take medicine.
Yeah.
But there's a little bit deeper issue there. How do we walk alongside you? That relational
Exactly.
aspect as well. So, with us, I mean, being a homeless shelter, mental health, substance abuse, is correlation there. I mean, how do you see it?
Very, yes.
Yeah, kind of speak into that a little bit.
Yeah. So I think, people experience, well, how can I say this? So let's say somebody is struggling with their mental health and they're not aware of services. Well, what are they going to do? They're going to maybe start drinking,
Sure.
or they're going to start using to help with that mental health. Or let's say somebody starts using and now they're causing a mental health issue. We see that. We have people here that have substance induced schizophrenia, right? They started using and now unfortunately, it's not ever going to go back to normal. So I think then what happens is things spiral, right? Now they're losing their job. Now they've lost their family. They have no stability. They've been evicted. They now have no money to put their to pay their car payment and to pay for gas. So everything just, spirals out of control. And they find themselves homeless on the streets. I know you hear these stories on a daily basis, but we have individuals here. Even one thing I forgot to mention is we have permanent supported housing. So we have 33 apartments. We actually have 41 apartments. 33 are permanent supported housing. But these are for people that are chronically homeless on the streets or in the shelter for a year, and they have a disability.
Okay.
So all of these stories that we hear from these individuals, they could just be like you and I.
So we always say like homelessness, it's so diverse, right? Like back in the 1930s when the mission first started, well before our time, it was alcohol. That was the main cause of that right there. A lot of those people were military veterans, so they knew how to take care of themselves. You didn't have to tell them, to not do something they hated. They were just grateful. But then the 80s hit, drugs get more involved, whatnot. Now you're seeing these mental illnesses. Now it's everybody. For us, the mission, it's not just the person who's drunk, or high. Maybe it is mental illness. Maybe it is someone who lost their job.
Right.
Maybe it is someone who's just going through a breakup. I mean, it happens to anybody. And like you said right there, the decisions, the choices, you make one choice and then it kind of just trickles down in, so it could happen to anyone. Yeah.
Right. Well, even on my way here this morning, I live on the north side. So, the way I came today was like, Wesley Way, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And right across from Palmer Candy, I saw 4 young men, all different ethnicities, and I thought, gosh, I just wonder what their story is. I mean, and what I was thinking is, I hope they're all supporting each other. And I was thinking about like even the relationships, and it's always connections, right?
Yeah.
We're such social beings, and I think, even in the worst situation, we always need somebody.
Sure.
And who is that somebody for you? And I just spoke with the River Cave princesses the other day, and I said, if you think of yourself in the middle of a spider web, and you're the spider. And who are all those individuals around you in that web? For work, it could be you go to this person. For your relationship with your significant other, you're going to go to this person.
Yeah.
For work, you're dealing with, you have an issue at work, it could be the person over here. So, surrounding yourself with as many support systems and the different people in your life,
Right.
You may not want to call your mom. Like, I'm not going to call my mom if I'm having issues with my husband, right? Because then she's going to be like, oh my gosh.
I told you years ago.
Yeah, well, exactly. So I might be calling my girlfriend, you know what I mean? So having those different support systems, but that's what resonated with me this morning at 7:30 when I'm on the way here of those 4 kids. I mean, they looked young, but you could clearly tell that they were homeless. They had their backpacks, one had a bike, but I was just thinking, gosh, I hope they're able to support each other.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that, because even as leaders, it's huge, the people you have around you, just sharing their day. Like, even as a pastor, I have a superintendent, and he was asking me, I'm drained, right? I'm just really, really drained. And he's like, what are your top 3 people who pour life into you? And you're just like, I don't know. But then every area of life, like, okay, who can I go to on this? But it's with it's with the ones that we serve as well. That is one of the values, and I'm sure here too, that the mission brings as a community.
Yeah.
Hey, I have people with me, even though I may be down and out, even though I may be, on hard times and I can't see a light at the end of the tunnel right now.
Yeah.
Like, I have some people here who, like, they're just there, being present, not having all the answers, but just being encouraging. That goes a long way. So,
yeah. We've been able to step in and like school-based therapy. So, like I said, we're in 10 school districts, and just being able to step in if we have, a child 7, 8 years old who struggles with separation anxiety, and just being able to do small interventions, show them, give them the skills. But even there was a time where just creating a worry box.
Yeah.
And every time you have that worry, let's write it down and put in that worry box. We were able to transition this little boy off medication and being able to separate from his mom and go to therapy and transition, actually graduate from therapy. So little things like that sometimes people take for granted, that's a huge success.
Absolutely.
Huge. So other things is, being able to, in our PSH program, working with a young man who was homeless, helping him get his apartment, help him get his own transportation, getting a job. And now it sounds like he's going to be able to get a down payment through the city to get his own place. I mean, those types of things, that is super exciting and fun to talk about.
Yeah, all those wins, whether they're big or small, they all mount up to something. So very good. Yeah. Okay. So in closing here, kind of share with people, how can they get involved? What do they need? Obviously money, but like, I mean,
always
staff, whatever,
staff.
I mean, what is maybe some of the big needs that people who are watching, listening, how they can help out?
Yeah. So we always take volunteers.
Okay.
So the biggest need for volunteers is really at the Life Center. So the Life Center, again, it's a day rehab program, open 6 days a week, 9:30 to 3:30. But do you have a love of cooking? Could you come over and do some cooking with us? Do you like to play games? Could you come over and play cards? They love to play cards. I bet you right now, if we walk in there, they're playing
Skippo or whatever.
Yeah. So I think that's a big thing. We have even the junior league, they come over and do like a movie night. I mean, different game night. But that, again, these are individuals who typically they all live by themselves, and this is just a great opportunity again to socialize and give back to them. So another way to get involved is we're opening our new building, Waypoint. We're going to be hiring about 40 staff.
Wow.
So we're going to be hiring probably close to 5 to 10 certified peer support specialists. So have you experienced your own mental health or substance abuse issues, and you're in recovery? So lots of times people say you're in recovery and they think it's just substance use.
Yeah.
But it's also mental health. So I think that's another misconception. But we're going to be hiring a lot of people, and it's going to be competitive.
Yeah.
So I think being able, like, are you ready to make a difference in somebody's life? This is a way to do it. So,
Absolutely. How can they find out all this stuff? Website, phone number?
heartlandcounselingservices.org.
.org. Okay.
Yep. And it gets confusing because all of our emails are .com, but we own both entities. So, but our website is .org. You can follow us on Facebook. We are on TikTok. We're on Instagram.
Okay.
So,
Nice. I guess I have a phone number too.
Phone number 402-494-3337.
Okay. Yeah. Jennifer, you were awesome. You were a blessing. We appreciate you in the community. Yeah. So yes, it's Jennifer Jack. This is Heartland Counseling. Come on, stop down, get involved, help out, and help make a good impact in the community. So thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of TGM Aware. To partner with us in transforming lives, visit thegospelmission.org. Subscribe and share to help others become aware, because together we make a difference.